Okay, we're a little late. Better fire it up.
Okay, we're running behind. We have a public hearing.
Jay, can you turn on?
Don't hurt that.
Oh,
Be careful with that. I'm not going to sign that.
Be nice.
Leanne.
Yeah.
Leanne, is Eggers first? Eggers?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Okay, Kim, would you call?
Commissioner Lambert,
Here.
Commissioner Attell,
Present.
Commissioner Sukla.
Here.
Administrator Bruner.
Here.
Attorney Baxter.
Here.
And Kim Purcell, Montezuma County Clerk and Recorder. Notice is hereby given that the Board of County Commissioners will hold a public hearing for the purpose of reviewing and determining a proposed commercial rezoning for a proposed 8-space RV planned unit development placed on 1 acre of property submitted by William and Judy Eggers on property located at 30175 Road L, Mancos, Colorado, consisting of 80 acres total, more or less, located on the north side of Road L, south of Road 31, situated in Section 15, Township 36 North, Range 15 West, NMPM. The hearing will be held Monday, June 18, 2018 at 2 p.m. Commissioners' Hearing Room, 109 West Main, Cortez, Colorado, Room 260. Interested persons may attend and give input. Information may be obtained from the Planning Department, Room 270, County Administrative Building, Cortez, Colorado, or accessed online at http://montezumacounty.org, Web Departments Planning. You may also contact the Planning Department at 970-565-2801 with questions. This file can be inspected in the Planning Department during regular office hours, dated the second day of April 2018. Kim Purcell, Clerk, Board of County Commissioners, Montezuma County, Colorado. Published in the Journal on Friday, April 6, 2018.
Thank you, Kim. Leanne, you want to?
This particular PUD was reviewed by the Planning and Zoning Commission on May 24th. There was a lot of support and some concerns regarding the proposed planned unit development. There is 8 spaces that are proposed. Mr. Eggers, Mr. and Mrs. Eggers, they initially thought that they would do something larger, but they reduced it to 8 spaces for the time being for the initial planned unit development. There was some concerns about it being turned into a mobile home park. All the infrastructure is there. It was installed. Mr. and Mrs. Eggers installed the infrastructure they installed it prior to coming to the planning department and
So
getting their...
it's already in the ground there, septic, electrical, all that stuff's already in?
Correct.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
all permitted and final.
So there was a little bit of concern about that, about them not getting their permitting prior to them pursuing their goals. But they do have, we do have notification from Empire Electric and the water companies that everything is okay, as well as access, things like that. I did send the commissioners a letter of opposition that was received that had some questions in there. If you guys would like some responses to that. There has been a fire mitigation plan submitted. There has been a weed mitigation plan submitted. So they've mitigated a lot of the concerns that was there. There is some concerns about the quiet hours. That people are concerned about having parties or things like that on the premises. They said they would have a quiet time at 9. Of course, the county has the 55 decibels at 7 p.m. to 6:59 a.m. So that is another concern. There was some concerns about traffic and how that would affect the neighbors in that area. There was some neighbors that wanted mitigation in that regard as far as fencing or trees or, shrubbery to block that. But then there was a lot of neighbors that said, no, we don't want to take away from the natural area. They don't want to make it different. So that's kind of been a concern for us. They have months of operation, so they're going to only go from May to October. Is that correct?
Yeah, depending on weather and conditions and stuff.
May to October. They are graveling the area to mitigate dust.
What about road impact fees? Are there?
There would be road impact fees associated. Those are per space.
Mm-hmm.
Road impact fees are per space.
Per space.
So it would be per the 8 spaces. Yes.
So is this just a single lot development? You're going to do this 1 acre RV, seasonal RV deal? And
yeah, it's because they're putting a parking lot up our roads for our recreation area as well, and we enjoying that.
Oh.
And we're just trying to. This will get some camping people that can camp up next to it and use the recreation area. I think that would be a good thing for the area anyway.
The other thing we've run into is the zoning. We rezoned it commercial, and unfortunately, we don't have a mechanism to rezone just a portion of the property without them subdividing it.
So the whole 80 acres is zoned commercial?
Correct.
Okay.
However, the high impact permit is per the site plan. So your high impact permit is only for where the footprint that you put in your site plan is. Okay. So even though your 80 acres is commercial, he's only going to get taxed commercial for his.
For that 1 acre usage.
For the 1 acre usage.
Oh, so what is the other 79 acres
Well,
that tax
I got
that?
agricultural there too, and water, and then residential.
So how zoning works is it's like a pyramid. So you can have ag residential, which starts down here, and then you go up to commercial, then you go up to light industrial, then you go up to heavy industrial. But everything under that falls down it. But that doesn't mean that you do not have to come in and get permitted for said uses. You still have to come in and get permitted.
But I was thinking as far as the assessor looks at that as vacant commercial property. It doesn't, right, so it doesn't, on her side of things, makes no difference what, he's got some ag on it or whatever. It's zoned commercial. Gotcha, okay. Just to be clear on that.
We just don't have a mechanism the way that we do it is through high impact permit processes, and that is what the area that you are permitting, that is what you are permitted for. Now, if you expand on that use, you have to come in and amend your permit. So there's been some concerns as well with, the rezoning on that commercial acreage for the 80 acres because, people think that it's going to turn into a mobile park.
Turn into a great big deal.
Yeah. So if I need to expand on that, you can let me know.
But it still have to come through the.
Right, just because it's zoned commercial doesn't mean you can go out there and put another 120 trailer spaces and start that.
We're not planning on doing any of that in the future.
You did that already.
Why are we calling something commercial if it's agriculture? Why isn't there a mechanism, and why can't we create a
Because I'm
mechanism?
running a business out of my.
He got to choose that zone. Wasn't that back when they asked for the,
Well, because
how you wanted your property
he would be
zoned?
exceeding threshold standards, so his round trips per day could potentially exceed that 15 round trips per day. So that's going to mean that that's what kicks it into a high impact classification.
Is he zoned commercial now?
No,
He's not zoned commercial yet.
he's ag residential.
Oh, the 80 acres, I thought you said the 80 acres already, or the other 79 was
No,
already zoned
that's
commercial?
part of it.
Oh, I'm sorry, okay, I thought it was already zoned commercial. Oh. Okay.
So I just kind of figured that since they're putting the parking lots up there and that's already been passed, they're gonna have, high usage up that road anyway. And people will probably.
Have they already got those, they already got the parking lot?
I talked to the BLM and Rob Engelhardt, I guess is his name, the road man.
Yeah.
And they've already met up there to look at the parking lot area. And they have said that they have planned on putting that parking lot in this year. They're working on it. So we're gonna get, once they get all the trails opened up, we're gonna get a lot of vehicles coming up that road. Good thing about it is maybe some of them will stay and camp there at my place. I'm about 400 yards up the gravel road, and then they'll just ride their bikes to the trails. Maybe that'll take some of the impact off a little bit.
And then do you want to address whether or not people are going to be allowed to ride ATVs on your property?
Well, they won't be. It's only in that one area. They have to go use the usage of the 1 acre is only for them to come in and camp. So they have the usage to go over to the BLM and use the recreation facility there, because that's what our public lands are for. It's not that I'm opening up my 80 acres for them to go roam around on. It's for the usage of the public lands.
Okay. We'll open it up for public comment.
I'm Rob Pope, 11494 Road 29. I was the dissenting vote in the planning and zoning of this. I don't disapprove of this RV park. I have a lot of problems with how it's being done. A lot of people, a few people have come through planning and zoning without previously coming in for permitting and stuff. We've always went backwards and made sure that they complied with every part of the land use code before they move forward. That isn't the case here. They're asking for some very significant variances within this application that would need to be granted for them. There is, and let me talk about the petition that was put around. I went through the petition and the addresses. There's very few people in that petition that are directly affected by this. The one name that's not on that petition is a gentleman that lives directly across the road from this. He was in the meeting. He's very upset. Mr. Crock, Carl, probably did some things he shouldn't do, but you know what? He had some valid gripes. So here's some of the things that are not being complied with. First of all, it was done without any permission, without any permitting. The land use code for RV parks provides for 300 square foot per lot of common area, recreational area for the RV park. In 4106L, subsection M, it calls for fencing or screening. P calls for lighting of service roads and a rec area. 4106.5 requires RV parks to have toilets and showers. They require that the service buildings within there, the toilets and showers, be ADA compliant. And they also require daily attendance by a responsible attendant. Now, the answer to this question was given to me when we live 200 yards away and we can see it from our second-story window. That's not daily attendance at an RV park. He was very concerned about the noise and what was going on. He did want privacy fencing and landscaping in it. He has to live across from that place every single day. Some people say, well, he's only lived there since January. I don't care how long he's lived there. He's got rights too. the zoning. There is a mechanism for doing this. The mechanism is to subdivide 3 acres off of that, which he said he didn't want to do. He wanted to keep the 80 acres intact. You subdivide 3 acres off, you get it surveyed, and you provide professional site plans for your development. None of this was done. I believe this whole thing is ill-conceived and that somebody down the road is going to pay the price for this. It does provide a lot of traffic on there. And by the way, several years ago, every complaint that a neighbor up and down this road talked about parking areas, the same petition was brought by the Eggers to all his neighbors, raising Cain about a parking spot. And now he's trying to say his RV park's okay. And he did it beforehand. There is a way through this mess. Like I said, I think an RV park is fine. I think it needs to be done properly. I think it needs to have the proper facilities. And I think it needs to have a subdivided area that's been surveyed and set apart for the parking for the RV park. I think they need to go through the whole process again. I think they need to provide professionally done site plans and surveys and building specs for what they're going to put on that property so people can review it and give a valid opinion for it. I believe his neighbor has every right to ask for this stuff because it is stated in the land use code. If this goes forward, you'll have to provide a variance for every one of these requirements that are, or else he's not in compliance if you don't provide variance. Thank you.
Gayla Pop, 7672 County Road, CC, Pleasant View. To zone this 80 acres as commercial is spot zoning, and spot zoning is illegal. Your counsel is here to advise you, and I would expect that he will advise you that this is not an appropriate zone change.
Bob Clayton, 11860 Road 273, actually Dolores, about 2 miles out of Cortez. I'd like to start off by saying that I'm not one that takes notes, so I kind of shoot from the hip, so kind of bear with me. When Mr. Eggers, the first we heard about his RV park was through complaints from the neighbors and letters to Leanne. One of the first things I did was drive out there to witness this. And as was mentioned, everything was already built. There was, there was the electrical boxes, the dumps, the water, and it was set up nice. And it was set up back from the road, and he left it kind of rough between it and the road. Granted, it is only sagebrush, so it's not really tall. But during our first meeting, this really brought a lot of concern that we were sitting there looking at someone asking for a permit that had already invested tens of thousands of dollars and yet without a permit. You know, the meeting went on. We did have a lot of complaints from neighbors. And actually, the way that meeting ended, I said, I also want to mention for the record that I'm the chairman of the Park Planning and Zoning Commission. So what I said to Mr. Eggers and the audience was that there is no way that I am going to entertain a motion on this evening. I think we have a lot of concerns from neighbors. We do need him to meet with the neighbors and try and mitigate some of these concerns before he comes back and see if we can kind of appease the neighbors and make this more acceptable. We did have, a meeting about a month later, and Mr. Eggers came in and had his petition with quite a few people signing it, but it did look like a lot of them were not definite neighbors. They were from different parts of town. Some were absent landowners. But he had put an effort in. I don't recall, Leanne, if we had any neighbors that night at the meeting speak. Do you recall? The second meeting?
Yeah, we had three
Yes, we
neighbors.
did.
And all the neighbors surrounding
We had-
my property.
And they were
all signed
supportive,
off.
weren't they, that night?
Except for the one
Okay.
that moved in February, all signed off on it.
You know, Rob was just up here speaking about the land use code. And our land use code doesn't really separate RV park and mobile home park. Now, I'm an RVer myself, and I've been in lots of RV parks across the west of this country. And if you offer full hookups, you have sewer, you have shower, you have everything you need right there at your spot. I've been in a lot of RV parks, maybe not in this state or in this county, that don't have the toilets and showers because it's all supplied right there at your site. It also calls for overhead lighting, which in the area where this is, I found that to be totally unacceptable because it would really have an impact on the neighbors, and made a recommendation that he put ground lighting, like solar lighting, for the perimeter and the entrance so that everything's defined. It seemed like several of the neighbors really didn't want a privacy fence because that would be more of a eyesore. But anyway, at that second meeting, we didn't seem to have that much concern from neighbors. We had mitigated several of the situations. We also talked about, because it is near the BLM, the Phil's World and the BLM parking lot, concerns were about ATVs and dirt bikes and coming and going from there. And one of the mitigations I recommended was that they come and go and that's it. They don't ride around the location. They don't work on them there and rev them up. So actually, we had a motion that night by one of our members to deny this permit. There was one yay and the rest were nays, so that motion was denied. And then I followed up with the second motion asking for approval based on waiving a lot of the things that Rob had brought up before because they didn't really seem adequate for an 8-space RV park. We have a very large RV park right by me at on Road M, the Stones Park, and they don't have someone there full-time at night because I'm a close neighbor. I actually went in and talked to Kathy Stone and said, you know, if you need something at night, I live close, here's my phone number. And she said, well, we already have emergency contacts, so if anything goes wrong, these people can make a call. So here we have a large, eventually going to be 109 spaces that doesn't really have a full-time person there. Mr. Eggers only lives, what did we determine, about 500 yards or so from?
Only within 150, 200 yards of the spaces.
So he lives close to it, and he also has a trailer just to the east of this location that is rented. And my recommendation was to kind of make them watch the place, and he didn't really want to do that. But I would recommend that they at least, being there, if they do hear noise or something going on, that they contact Mr. Eggers. In our second meeting, I thought we had, when I made the motion to approve, it was one nay and the rest were yeas. And I think Mr. Eggers has gone to mitigate a lot of our concerns, and I wanted to explain why, in the conditions, we waive some of those regulations that were found in the land use code. So.
Bob, was that motion to also commercial zone his 79 acres commercial?
You know, we still have, I think a lot of us agreed that it should be subdivided and commercially for the 3 acres, but like Milan said, for him to do any further development on that 80 acres, we'd have to permit it and come in again. And so that to me isn't that big a deal, but it was something that all of us actually looked at, and I don't think it was part of my conditions of the approval. So.
I think there was a discussion regarding, with use, that it's not necessarily not residential, and whether or not there was a reason to subdivide.
And, I think it's a great place for an RV park. With the expansion of Phil's World and the parking lot being right down there. And it's not set up for tent camping. So, if it was set up for tent camping also, I would think he would have to supply some type of restrooms and showers. But it's absolutely set up for 8 full hookup RVs. And, anyway.
Did you get a septic permit from our health department?
It's all been done.
So that's all done according to our health department standards?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I think she wanted to get Melissa. My inspector, Melissa had Craig Wickstrom that did my septic system.
Mm-hmm.
Engineering come out and inspect it. She didn't have the time or something.
Right.
So Leanne mentioned, I don't know. She's seen everything though. I didn't ever hear back any negativity of it. It handles all that.
Mm-hmm.
It's set up for all that. I even added some extra infiltrators that.
As long as you pass Melissa's, the health department standards for the septic tank, I'm good with you.
And I got,
Another thing Mr. Eggers has done in reference to that, in his conditions that people staying there are not allowed to use any kind of chemical treatment in their RV toilet. And this does create a problem when you go to try and treat that waste, because it kills the biological operations that take place in a septic or in a leach field or anything.
That blue water is no good in a septic system, huh?
Right. So,
and, depending on how much usage I have out there, if it was like full all the time over the year or something, I just, it's like $500 to pump it out if you had to. Just pump out the system every couple of years, maybe just something like that. But I'd have to, really don't know. They're just building the trails right now, starting it and starting parking lots. So I really don't know how many people
What
are
usage is going to be like?
using the spaces.
so just in my final, I think Mr. Eggers has bent over backwards to mitigate and take care of things, and he's done a good job out there, and I still support it. Thank you.
Bob, got a question. You say that you waived the variances?
I waived some of the things that Rob had brought up about perimeter lighting, about having restrooms and showers, and a few of the various things that are actually in our land use code that I didn't think were appropriate for this size of an RV park. I've been in many RV parks that were 2 or 3 times the size of this that didn't supply buildings with showers and restrooms. If it didn't have full hookups, I'd feel differently. But when you have full hookups and you pull in there with your RV, as most of you know, you have everything you need right there. And you don't need to use other people's showers or toilet facilities.
So there was a motion for the variance for the requirements. We don't have 2 separate mobile home PUDs versus a
RV.
PUD.
Mm-hmm.
So they're basically combined, which creates for something like Mr. Eggers is doing and Mrs. Eggers is doing, a lot of requirements that are maybe somewhat excessive depending on what you're doing. We've got several of these out in the county. So there was a motion made by the Planning Commission to give a variance for that section of the land use code that requires them to have a shower house, a bathhouse, wash house, outside bathroom.
Would those variances not have to be a part of your request here?
Yes.
Are
Well,
they?
and what I was going to recommend to the Board of County Commissioners is what I have done in the past is ask for a notice to proceed, so they can move forward, but we don't finalize the permit until the process is.
This issue is our land use code really needs some work.
It does.
So he can become more compliant with some of the areas that he needs to
Well,
work.
and again, that gives us a little bit of
Right.
flexibility to mitigate things as they come up
Make-
throughout the finalization of the project.
Rob?
Rob Pope again, he's right, the land use code does combine mobile homes and RV parks, but it is specific, the stuff I quoted is specific to the RV parks. And I'm not going to say, and I brought my book if you want me to read them verbatim out of them, but I'm not going to, they're there. Another thing about this zoning, and I have a real heartburn with this zoning. You don't zone 80 acres commercial. I don't care if you have to come back to do something. What it does is they never have to cross that regulatory burden again. And I can read you what this is going to say when he puts this on the market, on the real estate when he's ready to sell it. 80 acres, zoning commercial in place, unlimited development opportunities. It's just not right. That's 80 acres that will already be zoned commercial. Whether they have to come back or not, that zoning's in place. And all this other stuff can be mitigated, but it hasn't been. There's nothing in writing. There's no spec plans or no site plans. There's zero. And the neighbor across the street has the greatest impact of anybody, and he wants privacy fencing, and he wants landscaping. He's the guy with the most to lose out of this thing, and he's requesting it. I think his property, because it's right across the street, carries more weight than anybody's. I mean, if it was across the street from my house, I wouldn't be happy.
Actually, my property is right across the
Should you
street.
state your name and,
Benjamin C. Ferrier. I live at 30302 Rodale, Mancus. I'm direct across from Bill's property. I've been out to look at his development. I was there when he was doing some work over there. I couldn't see anything working over there. I could hear the noise of the machinery going on, but I couldn't see any of them. That made me good. That made me feel good. I didn't want the lights, the high lights that some of these people want. That'd be a distraction, around my house. And like I said, I live straight across where he put this in. And I'm happy with what he's doing. And I'm the most directly impacted neighbor he has, I think. And so I just wanted to make my point to you because Rob keeps talking about this neighbor. That's not my position. As far as traffic or dust, all the traffic's going to be going up that road up there where Phil's World is, park lot. Maybe 10 times more than what 7 or 8 RVs go in and out of there a week at a time. So I think dust vehicles is a minimal impact. So I'm going to let you know my view.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Leah, can you show us where the RV park is? Is this their house?
Well, you're Xing right there, that's our house. And
This way?
if you go up,
Right
that's our
Right
rental
here?
trailer. And then see how the grass is kind of mowed there?
Right here?
It's not quite that big, because that includes the.
It's in between.
Yeah, it's not quite that big, that just includes the sewer and all that stuff underneath it. But it's,
Do they enter from here?
Yeah.
that's the entrance. And then right there where you are, right there, right there.
Gone.
Yeah, the entrance is where the rental is.
Right here. Okay.
Yeah.
About that, I was just going to mention on the commercial park that's rezoning his property. I'm going to say that night in our discussion, we went through a lot in planning this, and I think our decision was to leave that up to the commissioners. So that's going to be your call, that's the way I see it.
Thanks, Bob. Is there anybody else?
MB McAfee, 22277 County Road 20. I think, first of all, I am unclear of the boundaries of this area, so the map is a little hard for me to understand it from here. And secondly, it's my understanding that once a property is zoned, then it is a use by right, once that zoning has been made. And if that's right, or anywhere near correct, then I think it's a bit disturbing that we have 79 acres of commercial zoning out in the middle of farmland, residential land, and something that is close to BLM, perhaps even borders BLM, I'm not sure. And it does leave a big piece of land out there that anything can be done on, well, anything that's commercial, such as Rob was suggesting. And that doesn't seem to quite make sense to me. It doesn't, common sense really suggests that this needs to be the 3-acre subdivision, and he gets his other, in that case it would be 77 acres that he can put cattle on and call it ag. I just think you're really opening the door for some perhaps difficulties down the road for other folks. Thank you.
Well, I kind of see it as a high impact area, to tell you the truth, because, I mean, 2 years ago, we get a letter that they're in the newspaper, we see in the newspaper that Hillsborough, there was over 17,000 people that had visited and a bicycle in there. Now, when they opened this up on County Road L and put that parking lot in, we're right in the middle. I mean, people put commercial stuff near public lands and stuff like that that are big recreational areas. So I have no plan in the future to add on to this or do anything in my lifetime. And if it ever is, somebody's going to have to come back here and go through it anyway. And if you've seen the layout of my property, it's full of draws that come down from the BLM. And it looks like during monsoon time, the Dolores River. So it would be pretty tough doing much anything back beyond this area right there, that frontage area.
Are those ponds on your place?
Yes, I've been with Division Wildlife and got set up with Division Wildlife, and I do some farming and stuff back there and cut hay and sell it and stuff. Yeah, so, and I have some letters from my other neighbors. They weren't able to make it. One's in back surgery right now, and did you get this email? From Ray.
No, I did not.
From Ray. He was here at the last meeting, and this one here, so that were supporting me. They're my direct neighbors too that had concerns at first, but when it all first went in, people thought it was going to be mobile home park, a big mobile home park, and that's not what we were trying to do. And I think there was some misconception there.
Well,
We just want to do something that's right, that will help the community and stuff too, for women in our church that we have here. I think they're trying to make that like one of the top, I hear it's one of the top 10 riding areas or something. They're trying to really promote that along with, Mesa Marie and other areas.
we'll terminate the public hearing.
Comment. Public comment.
Public comment, sorry.
There you go.
Got ahead of myself. Comment.
Well, for me, it's simple. If you have something that's commercial, it should be commercial. If you have something that's agriculture, it should be agriculture. So I'm not going to vote for something that is called commercial and is agriculture. I'm going to vote for something that is commercial, and something that's ag. So I'm going to go against the recommendation of the Planning and Zoning Board and say that it should be subdivided into 3 acres and the other 77 be ag.
I'm not, I guess I'm not sure I need the 3 acres. I certainly agree that I don't think that 79 acres should be commercially zoned until something else is done there. But the 3 acre is our minimum in our land use of subdividing off a parcel to a larger parcel. So gives him room for expansion of his RV park if he chooses, and so. Because a 1 acre deal isn't in the deal, and I don't like the Johnny come lately stuff where you go out and build it and do it and then come in and say, oh, can I? I mean, I just don't care for that. So I'll support Commissioner Supla on the 3 acres and no commercial zoning on the 77 other acres. I'll second that motion.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to deny the application at this point for Mr. Eggers. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. I think there just needs to be some more work done on it before you
do some things.
We'll get her done.
Okay.
Close the
Close the meeting.
We'll close this one and